Let's Talk with Keith Spera is underwritten by the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation.
Hello, I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. My guest today is one of New Orleans' greatest living musical treasures. At 83 years young, her voice is as rich and nuanced as ever. Her recordings of Ruler of My Heart, It's Raining, Wish Someone Would Care, and Time Is On My Side are timeless. She'll sing them once again on the closing Sunday of the 2024 New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. And later this year, she'll release a brand new album, a collaboration with the funk band Galactic called Audience with the Queen. Here to talk about all that and more is the one and only Soul Queen of New Orleans, Irma Thomas. Irma, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you, Keith, for having me.
It's an honor. I saw you perform recently at the grand reopening of the Dewdrop Inn on LaSalle Street in Central City. You had not performed there in 63 years, I think it was. 63 years.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel to be back on LaSalle Street singing?
It was fun, and you know, a lot of memories was racing through my mind, and song selections that I thought were something that would let folks know what was going on during the time when I was performing there. And interestingly enough, during the time the last times that I had performed at the Dewdrop, I was expecting my fourth child. So I had my little fancy maternity suit on, and I was up on that stage along with Alan Toussaint and the drummer, and we had fun.
Oh my God. What do you remember about the old Dewdrop? Because I mean, my understanding is it was like a clubhouse for local musicians, because at the time...
Literally, we were there on a daily basis. Even when we weren't working during the daytime, we would spend time there. It was just, you could say clubhouse, because everybody met there just to have fun and be out of the house, away from home. Those who could. Sometimes I could be, when my kids, the younger kids were old enough to go to school, they gave me a little time to free up to come over to the Dewdrop. And that's where you got all the latest news, because Earl King was like the local newspaper there.
Earl King, the great songwriter and guitar player.
Yeah.
He had all the gossip.
He had his own little newspaper, and he charged you a quarter to read it.
He was in my business back then, before I was in my business.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, it was a refuge, because at the time, black performers could not go to a lot of the clubs on Bourbon Street or the other clubs. So that was like.
Right. And what I appreciated with the new owners is that they tried to give homage to all of us who were still alive that played the Dewdrop, and they did a beautiful job with rearranging it. The stage that we worked on for that Friday night was much larger than the original stage. Yeah. And I told them about my experience with Patsy Valdez, who taught me Hip Shakin' Mama.
Patsy Valdez, the original MC at the original Dewdrop.
The toast, as we used to call her. And it was, there was a lot of fun times at the Dewdrop. Now, the fun part for me was I had never been in the hotel part in all those years. So when they took me up to peruse the hotel and they were asking me questions, I said, I don't know, I've never been up here before.
Oh, that's funny. And it's right, it was Hip Shakin' Mama was the song that you learned, from the MC, and you sang it again at the grand reopening this spring.
I sure did.
That's a nice full circle moment, kind of bringing it back home, Well, yeah, they spent, I think, $6 million to renovate that place, and then like another $5 million to get it up and running. So I mean,
it showed they put the money to some good use, and the way it's laid out, it's private, but it's going to be a fun place to be if the people go and participate with the talent that they're going to bring through there.
You had one complaint that night.
Yeah, the air conditioner was blowing right across the stage, and I had no qualms about letting them know, no, you don't put an air conditioner across the stage. Well, on top of that, it's bad for the singer, and it keeps the horns having to retune up their horns, because once they get them warmed up, that air conditioner messes with the tonation of the horn. So, that was, somebody didn't tell them. So, but they took my advice, and they cut it off while I was on stage. And then when I got an opportunity, I let them know they're going to have to rearrange that. Whenever someone is performing, cover it if you can't rearrange how you have the vent going, because that was the main vent.
Right. You know, Aaron Neville sang "Tell It Like It Is," but that song applies to you. You always tell it like it is.
Usually.
You always tell it like it is. It is springtime in New Orleans as we talk, which means the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival is coming up, which means either you or someone else is probably making a dress out of the official Jazz Fest shirt fabric that you will wear on stage at the festival this year. A lot of people may not realize that the dress that you wear is not one that you can buy from the official Jazz Fest vendor. It is one that you make from their fabric.
Yes.
How did you? Why did you start doing that?
Well, one year they had a little piece, and I go and frequent with some of the people who work there. I used to go over and visit with them during their lunch hour, and they had a piece of fabric left, and I said, "What are you going to do with that piece of fabric?" They said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, give it to me. I'll make a dress and I'll wear it Jazz Fest Day." And I think that was the first one with the red beans on it.
Red beans are the red beans thing.
And so now it's at the Mint in their museum.
Oh,
and I actually made that one. I made all of them up until recent years when I got busy. So lately I had a lady who is a school teacher as well, and she helps me out when I don't have the time. Sometimes I'll cut them out and she'll sew them up, but most of the time lately she's been doing it for me. But yeah, I made most of those dresses myself. Yeah.
So you decided the shirts, you didn't like the shirts they were making. You're like, I'm gonna do my
Well,
own
I
design.
love the shirts, but then I wanted to be a little different being the artist.
All right. A little extra flavor, a little extra flair.
Right, and everybody who saw me in them, they would go over and ask for them, and they would buy either the skirts. They had skirts. They didn't have dresses at that time, but they did have skirts and tees that they could put it together. So it worked out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Irma Thomas. Jazz Fest this year, you're going to be singing on the closing Sunday, which will be a great spot. There's a band playing that Thursday that you have an interesting history with, the Rolling Stones. You know, for those who don't know, Time Is on My Side, one of your classic singles. You recorded it first. Let's talk about the whole history of the song. It was done as almost as an instrumental by a gentleman named Kai Winding, I think, came out first.
I have no clue as to the history prior to them presenting it to me.
It is one of the rare songs that you did that wasn't written and produced by Alan Toussaint.
Right.
This was one you recorded out in Los Angeles when you went out there to do the
It was
Wish
a part of the Wish Someone Would Care album. Yes.
That's right. So you heard a demo of it, and what did you like about that song originally?
Well, at that time, I was going through some changes, some personal changes, and you know, you have hope. No matter what, you have hope. And Time Is on My Side was fitting in with my lifestyle at that time. So I think I sung it like I needed some help. So
I think you did. I think you did.
And when I did go over to Europe to do a tour, Keith and Mick.
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger.
Yeah, showed up at one of my gigs, and they were telling me that they loved the song, and they actually said that they were probably going to record it. So I wasn't surprised at the fact that they recorded it. My problem started when they started saying that I was doing their song, so I stopped doing it for a long time. I didn't sing it for years.
Well, that's right. So your version came out in '64. They did two versions of it that came out later in '64, and Time Is on My Side was a pivotal song for them. That was their first top 10 hit in America. And when they played on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time, that's the song they played at the start. You know, and I mean, if you see the old, and I'm sure you've seen the clip plenty of times of Mick's up there on the Ed Sullivan Show singing it, and he's slapping his thighs. He's going time, and all the girls in the audience are screaming. And it's like a whole.
Well, it was during what we call the British invasion.
Right.
If you were British, whether you could sing or not, you were going to be a hit.
Exactly. All you needed was a little mop top of hair and a British accent.
That's all you needed. So I've never been angry with them. I just got tired of explaining it all. So now that we have all this technology, I don't have to explain it anymore. They can go on and Google and do whatever they need to do and find out the information they need to find out.
That's right.
So they realize that I am not singing the Rolling Stones.
The Rolling Stones are singing you.
Hello.
Mick even did your the kind of ad-libs, the vocal ad-libs
that was an ad-lib, and he did it exactly the way I did it. Which is, I think that was an honor that he felt that way about it. He didn't change it a heck of a lot.
Right.
He sang it straight
through. Did you ever have a conversation with them after that initial meeting at that gig in England?
Not with Mick, but Keith used to come through here because he played with another local group for a while, and I talked with him, and he would always say that was the best thing we ever did. I said, well, I'm sure glad you think so.
Well,
so I'm gonna try to visit with them. I don't know if they're gonna, if he's gonna have enough time to say hello, but I'm gonna see whether or not he has selective amnesia or not.
Selective. It's a disease that afflicts a lot of people.
They forget.
They forget. They forget. Well, yeah, and I mean, I think for a lot of people. And I remember when the Rolling Stones were booked at the festival in 2019 and they couldn't do it because Mick needed his heart valve replaced. People were like, oh my gosh, it'd be so great if Irma sang it with them. But I mean, the logistics of making something like that happen is just...
It's not easy to put together.
Yeah, I mean, that organization is a big, complex thing. I don't think they've played that song in years, probably. I don't think they've played it in forever, quite frankly. So they would have to relearn it. I mean,
They might have to relearn it. I doubt it.
Think they could play it?
I think he would be able to do it.
If they were
If not, he can just mouth it along with me.
There you go. Let you do it. Wait, if they were to say, "Hey, you want to come do this with?" Would you do it?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I would oblige.
That would be a Jazz Fest moment that people will remember forever, quite frankly.
I'm sure.
I mean, that would be amazing. Well, you'll probably sing it in your set then at Jazz Fest, if nothing else?
I probably will. I'm always asked. Even at Jazz Fest, I get requests, and I try to oblige.
People shout them from where they're 50 yards away on the main stage, like, hey, can you play?
Oh, yeah. And, I'm always obliging my audience. It's always good to do what the audience want to hear. That's why I didn't have any problems Friday night, because they started shouting out songs. I said, oh, well, there's my show.
That's my show. Well, speaking of obliging fans, it was Bonnie Raitt that got you to start singing Time Is On My Side Again in '92 for a New Year's Eve show, and she was a fan of that song and said, hey, Irma, why don't you reclaim that song and do it? Yeah.
We did it.
And now you're like...
I'm back at it again.
Back at it again. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is the one and only Irma Thomas. Now, Irma, you've got a lot of great records out. I was going through my collection the other day, and I came across this one here, In Between Tears. I'm going to hold it up to the camera just so you can see this crazy painting of you on the front. This was an obvious early 1970s work. I think you recorded it in 1970. It came out in 1973. But I got to tell you, the songs in this record really stand up still. I think it's still a good sounding record.
There's a lot of them on there. I just don't get a chance to sing them often.
When you have so many songs, you're not going to be able to sing them all.
And that's the thing. A lot of my audiences, the younger ones, don't understand that. When you've been around since mud, like I always say for myself,
like mud.
You have people who have their favorite songs, and so whether or not it's your earlier songs or your most recent songs, you try to do those songs. And if anyone has ever gone to Vegas, those people can't change their show.
Right, it's got to be the same show.
They'll do the same show the same way every night for maybe up to a year. Well, at least I have the opportunity to be able to sing what my audience want to hear. And if those songs is what they want to hear, I'm going to oblige them.
Amen. Amen. Well, you've got some new songs that you've been working on. Several years ago, you did a song with the band Galactic, the New Orleans
Heart of Steel.
Yes, Heart of Steel. Yeah, and Galactic is, for those who don't know, local funk and jazz band, been around for a bunch of years now, really good band. Yes, you did a single called Heart of Steel, which was a great song in which you do sing in your sets.
Oh yeah, I sure do.
Yes.
And the band loves it.
As well they should. It's a great song.
It is.
So did that kind of set the stage for you now to do a full album with those guys?
I imagine in their minds it did, because that's what we're doing.
Full album.
At that time when we did Heart of Steel, they said, well, Miss Irma, we want you to sound young. And I didn't take offense. I sounded as young as I possibly could. So this time, I guess they're trying to help me stay young. And the songs are great.
Yeah. Well, now you have high standards for songs.
Oh, yeah.
These are songs that they've co-written, right? The guys in the band wrote, and some other writers have been involved. And have there been some songs where you're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you give them some feedback and let them know?
I sure do.
Yeah.
Well, that's typical me.
Telling it like it is, as we said earlier.
Because if it's something that I can't live with, I make them aware of why, and the writers are, accommodating enough to try to change it around and make it work for me.
I've heard one song that's destined for that record, a song called Lady Liberty. Really good song, really kind of a funky, good groove, and also kind of a topical song. It's
very topical, and it fits in with today's and what's happening in today's world.
So did you have a hand in writing it at all, or did they bring you that one to you?
They brought that one to me, and when I heard it, I said, oh yeah, this is a goodie.
Yeah. What did you like about that song? What worked for you?
Because of what's happening with the situation with these young people today, and the situations with the laws of today that's happening. It's not a protest song of any kind. It's just mentioning what is going on and the reality of it all.
Because I think there's a line in there about another black man shot down, I think is the line, right? So it's because you've not done a lot of topical songs really at all. It's usually about love or your life.
So that one kind of encompasses a little bit of everything. It's telling the story of today. And it's, like I said, it's not a protest song. It's just telling the story of today.
Telling the story of today, right. And I mean, you know, you're a storyteller in your music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
I remember, I think Stanton Moore, the drummer from Galactic, played on your Grammy-winning album.
Yes.
And I remember you saying one time that you were a little skeptical when this kid walked into the studio.
Yeah, I sure did.
This little white guy. Little white guy who's going to be the funky drummer on your record. But he did all right.
Oh, he did wonderful. In fact, one of the main songs on the album is something that he created because he said, Irma, I hear this groove here. And he started playing the groove on drums. And I started singing. And when I got through singing, we were all crying. And it was a one-take song.
And which one was that? Is that one of the ones
in the middle of it all?
On that on the
Grammy-winning CD.
The Grammy-winning CD, exactly.
In the middle of it all.
In the middle of it all, which is a great song.
And we wanted to change it somewhat, but we couldn't figure out which way to go. And then Stanton come up with that groove, and I just started singing it. And when I got through singing it, we were all, including Stanton, we were all full of tears, and that's the take that they kept on the CD.
And that record won you your Grammy.
It won me my Grammy.
So obviously it was a good decision.
Hey.
Are you optimistic that this one may do as well for you?
I'm very optimistic. In fact, when I go in the studio, I'm optimistic about them all. I just want people to hear them and listen to them and whatever they can glean from it to help them get through whatever they're going through. I don't worry so much about winning a Grammy because oftentimes the Grammy nominations, they sometimes don't even get to that point. But the main thing that I'm recording for, especially being at the age that I am and I'm still being able to do it, I want them to find something in the songs that'll get them through whatever temptations they may be having or troubles they may be having, get them through those situations and make them feel better.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you're 83 as we're having this conversation, 83 years old, and you're not resting on your laurels at all.
No. I love what I do. I love what I do. I enjoy it as much as the audience that comes to view my shows. I have as much fun, not just singing it, but watching them.
Well, yeah, if you see the pictures of you on stage, I mean, you know, I was going through the Times Picayune's archives, you know, looking for pictures to run the show, and there's so many pictures of you just beaming on stage and just radiating so much joy that it's like, you're clearly having a good time.
I am. I enjoy what I do, and I hope it comes across to my audience the same way.
Absolutely, it does. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is the one and only Irma Thomas. He is not with you today, but anytime you perform, the gentleman that walks you up to the stage is your husband, Emil Jackson.
That's him.
He's been at your side now for how many years?
We've been together 49 years, but he'll tell you 50.
Look at the screen right there. Look at that young couple right there. Look at those guys, huh?
Yeah. And he's also my manager. And he'll come across and he'll tell me, Irma, you didn't do well on that one. I said, well, what did I do wrong? He said, I don't know, but it just didn't sound right.
Oh, wow. So he tells it like it is, too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, that's the relationship we have as husband and wife, because if your husband and wife can't discuss what's going on, even with your performances, because it's a job. If they can't tell you, then, who's going to tell you? I accept criticism from my audiences because they can hear things that I can't hear. And so I'm always open to a critical, response from somebody. If they don't like it, let me know. I'm the only one who can correct it. I won't know until you tell me.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I don't think I've written many critical things about you over the years, but you've always been cool when I've said maybe this didn't work a little bit or this worked better.
Exactly. Because you're hearing it from a perspective that I can't hear me.
Yeah.
I'm so busy thinking about what I'm doing till there may be things that I'm leaving out or an area where I didn't really come across as well as I could have or something like that. Because when you're doing a performance, you're so busy trying to please the audience, be thinking about how it's coming out. You're just hoping that the story is being told in a way that it does reach someone.
Right. And again, that's what you're going to be doing on this new record with Galactic.
Yes.
I mean, you're telling the same, telling different kind of stories that you hope
Yes, reach someone.
reaches someone. Yeah, no. And I think that's so important for an artist to keep making good records. Your buddy Walter Wolfman Washington, I mean, he made some great records.
I had the pleasure of doing one with him called Even Now.
Such a good single. I mean, that was.
I did it the other night.
That's right. That's right. Such a beautiful song.
He played the dewdrop.
That's right. Right.
Yes.
Right. So that kind of another full circle moment.
Another full circle moment.
And that's another artist that late in his career he made these really beautiful
wonderful
records.
songs.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's just
Well, you have to understand we've matured, not just so much in age, but we've matured musically. We've learned how to bring a song to the storyline, to the people, and as well to ourselves. Because some portions of a lot of the songs that we sing we can relate to. And you don't get that in your youth. You get that from experience. And the experience itself matures you.
Sure. Well, and when you think about some of those songs you sang when you were young, it is impressive that you were able to bring so much meaning to some of them at such a young point in your life. But I mean, you did go through a lot early on. I mean, so you did have some experience under your belt, when you're singing some of the songs. But but I just feel like now your voice is more nuanced, it's richer in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't know if, not huskier, that's not the right word, but it's got a little, it's got just a little more feel, like more velvet to it or something now, do you think?
It is what it is. I don't have a name for it, but I've noticed that there are some songs that I've hit notes that I didn't think I could hit anymore. And it's like, when I do it, it's like, did I just do that?
And why is that? Why do you think you're able to do that?
Because a lot of folk who I know that are my age, their voices are going the other direction. Where mine is getting better, theirs are getting worse. And I feel very blessed that mine is getting better. I don't burn my candle at both ends. I never smoked and drank very little. So when I hit these notes that I'm not sure that I'm going to hit, I'm surprised as much as the audience is.
Which could be one reason why you smile so much on stage. You just impress yourself. You're like, darn, I hit that note. I didn't know.
And I want the audience to understand that we as entertainers are human. We have problems just like anybody else, so don't assume and put us on a pedestal. Enjoy what we do and let us know the songs you want to hear. That's the only way you're going to walk away pleased, because I can't read your mind.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for years. I tell people, because they used to laugh at me when I had my cheat sheet tablet. Now I have my cheat sheet iPad.
With the lyrics.
Yeah, with the lyrics. And they used to laugh at me. I said, but when you think about it, when a person has spent the money that they have to spend nowadays for a ticket, and they come wanting to hear their favorite song from whatever era they've heard you perform it, and when they don't tell you, you can't read their mind, they leave disappointed. Well, I don't want my audience to leave disappointed. So tell me what you want to hear, and if I know it, I'll tell you. If I don't know it, I'll tell you that too. And if I don't know the whole song and I don't have it in my cheat thing, I sing what I know, and we'll fake the rest of it. But we're going to give you what you want to hear. That's my whole thing behind my performances. I want to give the audience what they want to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I wrote about the Dewdrop Grand Reopening Night, that's one of the differences I noted, that back in the day you didn't have an iPad sitting up on the music stand with the lyrics.
I sure didn't. I started doing that in the late 70s, when I started having all these different recordings. And a lot of people were asking me for songs that I had forgotten that I had recorded. So I had to go back, get the records, and write the lyrics out in the whole 9 yards.
So you've rediscovered some of your own songs, though.
Right. I mean, I was on a show in Massachusetts one night, and somebody kept asking me for Anyone Who Knows What Love Is, which I had not been doing. I said, where did you hear that? And they told me they'd heard it on some movie or something or other. So now I have to sing it.
Now it's back in the set. I mean, yeah, with so many records. I mean, yeah, like this record, The New Rules. I mean, I hadn't heard this record forever. It came out in 1986. It was their first rounder record. I mean, again, some great songs on this one. I Needed Somebody.
So I need to have lyrics with all those records out. I mean, somebody might have played that album and then what their favorite song is on there. So when they ask for it, I'll look it up.
So do you have a bunch of your songs loaded on that iPad?
I have at least 80% of them on my iPad. Yeah.
Which is like how many songs roughly?
Oh, I don't count them.
I mean, but dozens, obviously.
More than dozens.
Like 100 plus songs, so you can call them up. All right. So somebody requested something from The New Rules. You probably have the lyrics there.
I'll probably have the lyrics down.
That's
and
great.
If I don't have them, guess what? There's going to be on there next time.
That's right. You'll do your homework.
I'll sing what I can of it that I remember of it. And I'm honest with my audience. I don't get up there and pretend that I know it all. I let them know, look, it's been a while since I sung that song. I'll sing what I remember, and at least you got some of it.
That's right. You got a little taste. You got a little taste. Well, all right, we've just got a couple minutes left here. Jazz Fest, I know, amongst other things, you're a big fan of the Crawfish Monica.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Do you go to the booth and get your own, or do you send out for
I
it?
bring my Tupperware bowl, and when I can't go, I send somebody in the family over. They know my family members, not because I've sent them over there to get. Because I don't eat before doing a performance. So some days when I'm out there, I haven't eaten in 5 or 6 hours, maybe longer. So I'm starving by the time I get through my set. So I send them over there to get some crawfish monitor, and trust me, I devour it.
Oh my gosh. I love that you bring your own Tupperware.
Bring my own bowl, so I won't have any problems with having to share it with anybody.
Oh my gosh. So because you go out there other days, not just the days you're performing.
Right.
You're a fan of the festival at this point.
I am a big fan of the festival. I think it's one of the greatest things that they could have come up with, especially for a lot of the local entertainers. When I say local, I mean Louisiana in general. Because there's so many Louisianians who have had great songs out, great records out that no one ever heard of before, but when they come to Jazz Fest, they get a whole new career started.
That's right. That's right. And so let's see, 2024, this year will be your, how many Jazz Fests in a row, would you guess?
I lost count. But I know I haven't missed one that they've had since 1974.
So 1974 onward, you've not missed a Jazz Fest?
Not when they had one out there.
All right.
The only time I missed was the ones they didn't have.
Which is not your fault.
There you go.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there again this year in your custom Jazz Fest dress. And I look forward to hearing Audience with the Queen, your new record with Galactic, coming out later this year.
It's my pleasure sitting here chatting with you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. All right, once again, my guest has been Irma Thomas. I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com in the Times-Picayune. Let's talk again next week.
Let's Talk with Keith Spera is underwritten by the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation.